Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. As always, we're grateful for you to join us today to watch our show. Before we jump into this week's tip, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap for today? We've got a great show, and it comes to us from Eric Barker, who writes an article about how to be resilient and 5 secrets to success when life gets impossible. And let's face it, we've all gone through those really tough times where life seems to be pushing down on us and the waves are crashing down, and it's really hard to get through whatever the day is, whether it's at work or at home or just life in general. Life can be hard. We're going to go through 5 tips to help you become more resilient, build your grit, as Angela Duckworth would say, and figure out ways to power through and become that person who overcomes challenges when life is impossible. Tip number 1, embrace reality. Now, that means giving yourself realistic goals. We want to have a challenge, but we want something that's not perceived as a threat to us. We don't want our subconscious mind saying to us, well, this is a huge goal and I'm never going to get there. And every time I take 1 step forward, I'm taking 4 steps back. Instead, set realistic goals, but also ones that are a challenge to you that you say, it's going to be really hard, but I know I can push through it. And when you're setting these goals, give yourself micro tasks within them so that you're seeing accomplishments as you're going through and building upon them to make your mind realize that you're slowly but surely accomplishing the task at hand. Remember, embrace that reality, and in our next tip, we're going to talk about how to boost that confidence as we are embracing our reality. Tip number 2. Boost your confidence. Now, some people might say, fake it until you make it, because if you don't know how to do something, just fake it and eventually you figure it out. That's actually not the way you should do it. A study of over 12,000 subjects found that it's actually more important to boost confidence, and they perform better when they're actually doing the task at hand as opposed to faking it. So faking only helps with like an easy task. Instead, what you need to figure out and increase your confidence when you're under the gun is to understand that progress produces confidence. And what we mean by progress is first make an accurate assessment of yourself and a valuable assessment of how you do different tasks, which are the ones that are easiest for you, which ones are the hardest, and which ones are average. Take the average ones and figure out and benchmark that performance for yourself. And do that against your best days as well as your worst days. And what problems do you need to solve realistically, and what can you expect in terms of preparing yourself to shift your strategy in terms of asking for help versus understanding again. Again, figuring it out, there's no magic ball or crystal ball that tells you everything, but find where your median point is in terms of the different tasks that you have. Once you have that, you can slowly build confidence to see what you need to work on in terms of a weakness versus these are the strengths that I have as well. From here, we're going to figure out how do we move forward. Tip number 3, find control. Now, we all want control in life, and we really don't have that much of it, but it's important to find some type of control. And Eric Barker talks about an athlete who she was running all the time in competitions, and she always got nauseous and she felt sick. And so her coach said to her, okay, great, what time do you want to puke? And the athlete said, what do you mean? Well, we're going to schedule it, and you tell me what time you want to puke, I'll schedule it accordingly. Now, that's probably a little more dramatic than what you need to do, but think about this. Great athletes, they think about rituals, whether it's eating the same meal, wearing the same shirt, or putting on their shoes the same way. Create a ritual for yourself with whatever job or whatever task is at hand where you want to gain confidence. This will allow you to bring more confidence to yourself because you're thinking about things in a manner that you have control. And when you have control, even if it's illusionary, it gives your mind an EQ boost so that you're thinking, I can do this and I'm able to move through this situation. So find a way, an easy ritual, whether it's before you sit down, you take 2 glasses of water, or you write a phrase down, whatever it might be, find something to give yourself that illusion of control to help your brain get that boost of confidence. our next tip. Respond instead of reacting. And we talk about responding instead of reacting a lot in EQ. And it's very important to label your emotions. Understand what emotions you're feeling when those tasks are becoming really tough and life is just falling down on you, and label them. Are you angry? Well, are you really angry, or are you disappointed with someone? Understand what those feelings are and get those suggestions into your mind so that you can actually label what's happening and then control them. And so when you start thinking about them, you respond to them as opposed to letting your amygdala hijack you and react to them. When you do this, you're going to have more overall control and be able to understand how to get through when those tough days are happening out there. Our final tip, transcend discomfort. And we're going to go through some really discomforting times when life feels impossible, but that's okay. One of the things that was researched recently was that NBA players, about 300 of them, they researched their behavior during the games of the 2008-2009 season. And it found that the little high fives and chest bumps before games actually increased their team cooperation and predicted better performance. So does that mean we all need a high five? No, well, it's always good to get one, but a hug is always good as well. But you need to have something where you feel like people have your backs, people are part of you, and you're part of that tribe and part of that why. So figure out a way to make sure that you understand that people are caring about you and you care about people as well. When you do that, you're going to transcend that discomfort because you know someone has your back, or in a better case, you have someone else's back. In doing so, it'll help get you through those impossible days. That's a wrap for this week's EQ video tip. Hopefully you enjoyed the tips from Eric Barker. In case you missed any of them, here's a quick recap of what we covered. Again, take these tips and make them yours so you can become more resilient on those impossible days. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.